chocolate?
Chocolate? Chocolate? I love chocolate!
Would you like to buy one, ma'am?
Chocolate!
Now, chocolate has been something of a value to human culture since the Mayans. Back then, the cocoa bean was so valuable it was used as a currency. Now, it is just a delicacy. Hello, my name is Madeline Swift, and I'm your host for today's episode of Cabinet Confidential, entitled Chocolatey Haze. Welcome back. Today's episode, you guessed it, is about chocolate. The most common types of chocolate that you've probably heard of are white, milk, and dark chocolate. The darker and more bitter the chocolate, the more higher percentage of cocoa there is. Cocoa was originally grown in Mesoamerica, where it was ground and roasted to be used in beverages. In 1542, the Spanish colonists returned to Spain with the drink.
Stop. No more of this history lesson. You are boring the poor viewers of this show. This is not the History Channel, this is the Food Network.
Then what should we do the show about?
Science, of course! Even though people think chocolate is only bad for you, but that is not completely true. Chocolate contains fats, carbs, and proteins, but does not raise cholesterol. Chocolate even contains high amounts of antioxidants that protect against heart disease. Chocolate also contains theobromine. Theobromine is a stimulant similar to caffeine that acts as a stimulant on your muscles, heart, and kidneys. Chocolate also had many medical uses, such as acting as an antiseptic, cardiotonic, diuretic, vulnerary, and paresthetic.
Okay, enough. Let's get cooking. This is the Food Network after all. Today, we are making my famous chocolate cake. It's delicious and moist. Let's get started.
First, we're going to cut out wax paper to fit perfectly in our pan and then grease the pan. If you don't have wax paper, you can opt just to grease it, like we did. This creates a non-stick surface for our cake so it will slip right out when we finish baking. You can also add a little flour if you want. Next, we're going to soften our butter just slightly. Remember, don't melt it completely because it won't be as light and fluffy as you want it to be. You can soften it by letting it sit out for a couple of hours until it reaches room temperature, or you can stick it in the microwave for about 15 seconds on high. Now, add this butter with sugar and whip these two ingredients until it is light and fluffy. Make sure to not overmix this because it could become too runny. Now, into this mixture we are going to add our vanilla, then eggs, one at a time. Now we're going to add our dry ingredients in order as follows: flour, cocoa, salt, and baking powder.
Again, make sure to put the dry elements in order because their hydrophilic molecules are competing for the moisture and your batter will clump because it does not have enough water. When you have a flowing batter, your hydration is consistent.
Again, make sure to not overmix your cream.
If you overmix your cream, the delicate aligning of proteins and gluten become disrupted and can destroy the moist, fluffy consistency you want your cake to be.
To this creamy mixture, alternate the adding of milk, beating well after each addition. Transfer this mixture into your pan and bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 to 25 minutes or until when you insert a toothpick in the center it comes out clean.
As it is baking, the starch portion of the flour begins to gel with help from the sugar web-like structure to capture water, giving the cake moisture. The carbon dioxide from the baking powder expands and pops, and the gluten holds these bubbles in place, making your cake fluffy. The butter or fats in the cake lubricates this process. Too much baking powder will cause the bubble to rise and sink, causing the cake to sink in, which you don't want. This will also give it a chemical taste.
After it is done baking, pull out your cake and allow it to cool for at least 10 minutes in the pan, and then pull it out of the pan to cool. If you have a wire cooling rack, that will help with this process. Once it is done cooling, you can frost with a simple frosting recipe of your choice. We chose to do a simple frosting recipe that you can find on our website, cookingfever.com.
As you let your cake sit out until you eat it, the sugar in it helps slow the cake from hardening, and as it begins to go stale, these starches begin to crystallize. The lower the temperature your cake sits in, the quicker it will go stale.
Thank you for joining us today on Cabinet Confidential. My name is Madeline Swift, and I hope you have a wonderfully chocolatey day. Join us next time for the episode on our perfect Christmas fruitcake, just in time for the holiday season.